So, an elected official from South Carolina, her name is Dali Myers, she is switching her support, her endorsement of Joe Biden to Bernie Sanders. Let's take a look at the article. A South Carolina elected official who endorsed Joe Biden last month is switching her allegiance to Bernie Sanders in the state's first in the South presidential primary, saying she had viewed the former vice president, whose support in the state is considered deep, as a compromise choice. Dali Myers told the Associated Press on Wednesday that she is making the change in part because she values what she sees as Sanders' strength in being able to go toe-to-toe with President Donald Trump in the general election. I looked at that and I thought he's right, said Myers, a black woman first elected to the Richland County Council in 2016. He's unafraid and he's unapologetic. I like the fact that he's willing to fight for a better America for the least, the fallen, the left behind. What she's saying is completely true, okay? We all know on this show and elsewhere that Joe Biden represents corporations. He represents the establishment. He even said that nothing would fundamentally change when he was giving a private fundraiser. That's what he told his donors. So what she's saying here, that Bernie Sanders fights for the least, the fallen, the left behind, this is true. The entire message that Bernie Sanders is running on and has been running on since 2016 is a populist message. He's fighting to give people who have nothing their basic human decency, what they're owed. Healthcare, a decent wage, jobs, and a clean environment. Okay? These are the most important pillars that he's running on. Because a lot of people, they don't have healthcare. You got people even who do have healthcare, who do have private insurance, and they can't use it because the entire system is corrupted. You got people working 2-3 jobs and they can't make a living because they're being paid starvation wages. So he wants to give them a $15 minimum wage. You got people that ain't got work and you got a dirty environment that needs cleaning up, and he's going to do that with a Green New Deal, give people jobs, make a safer environment, and take action on climate change. So you have all these things that are part of a vehicle, a populist vehicle for the ones that are left behind, for the shrinking middle class, for the people who have nothing. It's not about giving more to the corporations who already took everything and have all they want. Okay? We know all this stuff, but I'm saying this so in the hopes that, someone is new on this show or they don't really know much about Bernie Sanders. If they stumble on this video, they can understand what's going on because it's not that apparent to everyone. It's only apparent to the people who pay attention to politics. So I'm always going to repeat these things just in case. It's good to reiterate them. The other thing is that she sees Bernie Sanders as the one who can defeat Trump. He has the best chance to defeat Trump. This is true. We know this since the last time round. Where's the proof? The proof is Hillary Clinton lost to Donald Trump. And we also knew before she went in matchup polls, Bernie Sanders was doing the best against Donald Trump. And he still is. He still has the best chance to defeat Donald Trump, which is really funny because in that ad that Joe Biden released attacking Bernie Sanders 2 days ago about Social Security, at the end of it, they put Joe Biden, the Democrat with the best chance of defeating Trump. They had to put it up there because it's not true. They need to convince people that it's true.
Bernie's negative attacks won't change the truth. Joe Biden is still the strongest Democrat to beat Donald Trump.
No, it's not true. Okay, Joe Biden has no chance of defeating Trump. And I can guarantee you, if he gets the nomination, sayonara. Okay, it's 4 more years of that orange clown. Get ready. It's going to be ugly. So she's completely right. Bernie Sanders does have the best chance to defeat Trump. We know this. Just look at the matchup polls, okay? Consistently, he's the candidate that does the best against Donald Trump. Sanders, whose 47-point loss to Hillary Clinton in 2016 in South Carolina, blunted the momentum generated in opening primary contests and exposed his weakness with black voters, has focused on strengthening his ties in the state's black community. So, very important points here. In 2016, Bernie Sanders got decimated in South Carolina. Let me show you the results. Hillary Clinton won 73.5% and Bernie Sanders only got 26%. That's not looking good. And we already know, and I've already told you, he's not winning the primary in South Carolina this time around either. Because Bernie Sanders, unfortunately, doesn't have that much black support. In South Carolina, don't get your hopes up, okay? I told you, he's not winning it. I really think he's not winning it. And if you look at the polls right now, unfortunately, Joe Biden does have the lead, okay? So Joe Biden is polling at 32%, and Bernie Sanders at less than half of that, at 15%. And he's virtually tied with Warren at 14%. I mean, if you consider the margin of error. So he's not doing particularly well at all, okay? Biden is very likely to win that state. So like I said, don't get your hopes up. However, let's go back to this positive news because it is important. In December, Myers, a corporate lawyer in Columbia, was among more than a dozen South Carolina elected officials to endorse Biden, saying at the time in a release from the Biden campaign that he was the only candidate with the broad and diverse coalition of support we need to win against Trump in the general election. Initially, Myers said she backed Biden because she saw him as a candidate who could possibly appeal to Republican voters disenfranchised by the president. Okay, now that's really a stretch. I really, really don't think that Joe Biden is going to appeal to Republican voters who are already Republican, and especially not to the two-time Obama voters who then switched to Trump. They switched to Trump because they're sick of you, so they're not going to go back and vote for the vice president of the guy they got sick of. Okay? That's not happening. If you look at the counties that flipped from Obama to Trump in 2016, right now, the person they donate the most to is Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders gets more donations from those counties than Warren and Biden put together. Do you understand how crucial that is? I am telling you with tangible things, with the money, that voters will flip for Bernie Sanders in those crucial counties that Hillary Clinton lost in 2016. Okay, so if Bernie Sanders is a nominee, he can get him, man, because he's already getting the most donations from those exact same places. It was a compromise choice, she said. I didn't find anybody's candidacy electrifying, but I did find Joe Biden's candidacy to be reassuring in a sort of normal American kind of way, meaning a neoliberal establishment Democrat. Yes, we know that. But over the ensuing weeks, Myers said she started to feel that Biden's candidacy, while familiar and perhaps comfortable, wasn't going to be enough to inspire the young voters whom she sees as necessary to a Democratic general election win. In other words, Myers started feeling the burn. Okay? That's what happened. And it's very important what you're saying here. Of course, Joe Biden isn't appealing to young voters because his base is mostly old people. Yes, he maybe has a more diverse base in terms of race, but when it comes to age, there is a large disparity with his voter base. It's mostly old people. Bernie Sanders doesn't have that problem. Matter of fact, it's the complete opposite. Bernie Sanders is the one with the most appeal to young voters. So, yeah, you're not going to do well with them if you give him Joe Biden. No way. It ain't happening. And I wouldn't be surprised if all these blunders and gaffes that Joe Biden has been doing, you know, the racist outbursts, yelling in women's faces, yelling at reporters, forgetting how to speak. I mean, that's enough to dissuade anyone, in my opinion. Never mind the fact that he is an establishment, corporatist, corrupt hack who serves corporations. When questioned how someone who considered herself a conservative Democrat could support a candidate like Sanders, whose proposals, including Medicare for All, suggest government growth on an as-yet unknown scale, Myers said she did have some concerns, but expressed doubt that such measures would ever become law without changes. Medicare for All will have to go through Congress, she said. He's not going to pull a Donald Trump. Yes, now, again, as I tell you, always pay attention to the language that the media uses. So right there, this is from the Associated Press. They're saying that, Medicare for All is going to have unprecedented changes. It's going to be such a large upheaval of the government, and the government is going to grow, and they're going to have more power. No, it's not. Okay? Shut the hell up, man. Every developed country has universal health care. You know what's ridiculous? A Space Force. That's ridiculous. That's a waste of money. Not giving your own people health care at a good price, okay? Always pay attention to the language that they use. Ultimately, Myers said her decision wasn't necessarily about her personal preferences. I'm a 50-year-old black woman, and I tend to be middle of the road, Myers said. I'm voting for what I think is best for all of us, not just me. I'm not a left-wing liberal, I'm not even a left-wing Democrat, but I'm a realist. Well, I gotta give her props because she is being realistic. You're not gonna win with Joe Biden, okay? You're just not, man. The head-to-head matchup polls indicate that you won't. The fact that Joe Biden is like third when it comes to money raised indicates that you won't. The polling that he's doing abysmally with young voters indicates that you won't, and so on and so on and so on. And never mind that Donald Trump is already clobbering him over the head with this whole Ukraine stuff. They're not even gotten into a general election yet, and he's already decimating him. You know, as much as Donald Trump is an abomination, he's a good troll. He's a big bully, and he's going to decimate Joe Biden in a general election. He already is. she is being realistic. We know from the data, we know from the facts, from where money goes, from how many people show up to rallies, that Bernie Sanders is the true front runner. So she is being very realistic in switching her support. Now, once again, I don't think Bernie Sanders is going to win South Carolina. So I don't know how much of a ripple effect her endorsement is going to make now. But the fact that she has announced that, yes, I'm abandoning the establishment candidate to go for a more promising realist, the progressive Bernie Sanders, that's already very embarrassing for Joe Biden. And it shows you that some politicians still got some sense, okay? And not everyone is convinced by abomination of Joe Biden. I hope this has somewhat of a ripple effect. I hope it makes some people go, hold on a second. Damn, is Biden really that bad? Maybe I should consider Sanders. I really hope it does. With that said, I don't think it's going to be that much of an effect that Bernie Sanders is suddenly going to win South Carolina. Nah, I don't think so, unfortunately. South Carolina is one of the first states in the primary. It's the first one in the South. So it's hugely, hugely important. But it's not the be-all, end-all. You know, the primaries haven't even started yet. So we'll see what happens. But like I said, this news here, I still think Joe Biden is going to win South Carolina, unfortunately. And I hope we see more stuff like this where people abandon their endorsements for that corporatist and see the light and come to Bernie Sanders, who is the true representative of the people and who's really, really going to beat Donald Trump. He has the best chance to beat Donald Trump, hands down. And Donald Trump knows that. And he's scared.